Intellectual property protection. My name is Matthew Bessior, and I am the head of global IP enforcement for Alibaba. I want to say, first of all, this audience right here is probably the most dedicated audience for intellectual property protection, trademarks, copyrights, patents, because we're up against Dragon's Den. So if anyone ends up having to walk out to go see Dragon's Den, we understand. But we're going to talk about IP and protecting your IP for the next half hour or so. And I'm joined here by the City of London Police. And if I mess this up, I'm sure I'll be in handcuffs and in a lot of trouble. So I'm going to do the best I can to kind of bring you up to speed on how it is that we enforce intellectual property across the Alibaba platform. And in the audience also, if you could stand up, is Kelly. Kelly is with the UK Intellectual Property Office. So if you have not registered your intellectual property, your trademarks, your copyrights, your patents, and you don't even know where to begin, that's who you want to see right afterwards, and Kelly will help walk you through it because their office is engaged very much with SMEs on how to do that. We're going to talk about the enforcement side, both on the platform and then also on the criminal side. So listen, we heard a lot about trust today, and I think when it comes down to intellectual property, it's really more about the trust that your ideas are going to be respected, the trust that your brands will be protected, the trust that when you put products online and you source them online, you're not putting your intellectual property in danger. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what our 4 pillars are to our IP protection program. And I think the one thing I want to make clear is that SMEs, you comprise over 90% of businesses worldwide. So this is really important to us. And for large companies, IPR risks are they're difficult and they have to deal with them. When you're an SME, the IPR risk is existential. You can no longer exist if your IP is not protected. So we understand that. And some of the things I want to talk about today is about the fact that it's good business for Alibaba and a moral responsibility to help you not only do business anywhere, but also be able to protect your IP on our platform. So we've designed a number of programs and partnerships and tools dedicated to help you do this. And it's kind of broken down into 4 categories. The first one's proactive monitoring. And I'll talk about that, and it's most of it's us searching our platform to make sure counterfeit versions of your product or infringing materials are not available. The second is notice and takedown. The third is going to be offline investigations, and the 4th pillar is going to be collaboration. So let's talk right away about pillar number 1, which is us doing proactive monitoring, looking for infringing listings before waiting for you to come to us to tell us that, hey, by the way, that's mine, that's a copyright, that's a patent violation, that's a trademark. We're going to monitor the platforms proactively for you. In fact, when we monitor the platforms, 87% of what we take down proactively is taken down before a single sale is made to a consumer. That not only just protects the consumers, it protects the rights holders like yourselves. So it's very important to us, and we remove many more times proactively in terms of infringing listings than what we receive from all the rights holders combined, large brands and SMEs. That brings us to pillar number 2, which is notice and takedown. Anyone ever hear of notice and takedown? Okay. Notice and takedown, notice and action. You have your IP rights, your trademarks, your copyrights, your patents. You find something infringing on the platform. You're going to notify us. We have something called the IPP, Intellectual Protection Platform. There is a website up here, but don't worry about this because I'm going to tell you right behind that wall is the IP booth. If you come see us there, it's a QR code, lots of people there to help walk you through this. But basically, we have a platform you come to. It's a one-stop shop for all of your IP needs. You can register your rights there. You can put notices to us. And when you give us a notice on Alibaba.com, we're generally taking that infringing listing down within 24 hours of receiving it. It moves very fast. That brings us to pillar number 3, and that's an aggressive offline investigations program. So online is one thing, and we could stop at the platform's edge if we wanted to. We don't. We understand that if we really want to go after the infringers, you really want to go after the counterfeiters, you have to go after the places where they're actually doing the production, the manufacturing, the supply, the distribution locations. So we don't stop at the platform's edge. We take down the infringing listings, but we also work with rights holders and government to go after the bad guys. We go after the manufacturing sites. We go after the distribution locations, the supply chains. We do it in China. And we also do it around the world, including here in the UK, working with the City of London Police. Pillar number 4, this is collaboration, very important. We work with rights holders, industry associations, government agencies, online service providers, and academia. And we like to do a lot of things that are new that the industry hasn't done before. So in 2017, we actually formed the very first private sector partnership with e-commerce. So we brought together, back in 2017, 30 founding members. Many of them are household names, and it's grown now to over 221 companies and over 1,200 brands. And these brands are helping us get better at what we do. We get better by having them inform us how intellectual property infringement is affecting them and how our platform could do better to help serve them. But SMEs are a critical part of this. And so I want to briefly describe just 4 programs we have in addition to the 4 pillars that we have specifically for SMEs. One of them, which is a free program that we pay for up to a year, that everyone should be taking advantage of if you have any kind of intellectual property out there on our platform. But first, let me talk about the SME Advisory Committee. I'll then talk about the free program called Market Safe. Then I'll talk about our SME Center. And then lastly, I'll talk about our patent enforcements for SMEs. So first of all, the SME Advisory Committee. Again, the first of its kind in the industry. In 2020, we brought together a committee convened of SMEs. And these SMEs vary in different industries. They come to us and they help sit with us and guide us on what really affects SMEs as far as intellectual property is concerned across our platforms. They help us design the rules. They help us streamline the forms. They help us tell us what is really needed for you guys to survive in this area and to thrive. So we devoted ourselves to this. The SMEs have a seat at the table. They're there as much as the big companies of the world are there, telling us how to make things easier for you. These SAC members, SME Advisory Committee, they come globally with us. They were actually with us at the Co-Create event in Las Vegas. And it gives them an opportunity to help guide us for other SMEs with law enforcement, policymakers, and also other rights holders. The second one out of the 4 is a free program for you. So we partnered with the International Anti-Counterfeiting Coalition. It's the IACC. And they have what's called the Market Safe program. If you come to the booth after, we'll give you more information about this program. But this program is 100% funded for the first year by us. We understand that a lot of SMEs need hand-holding. They need some hands-on coaching on how to enforce across the platforms. So here's how it works. We pay for it, you go into the program, and the IACC dedicates analysts to your company. They speak lots of languages, and then they'll go and help you enforce your notice and takedowns across our company. You'll be in it for the first year. After the first year, we have to let other SMEs into the program. You have a right to stay in there. There's a small fee to stay in the program, or you can come and just go ahead and start enforcing with us directly. And please do not be afraid to do so. It's actually quite easy to do so, and we made it even easier recently. So, again, fear not, you can do it. We're going to make it very efficient for you to do so on the platform, and we've launched what's called the MSME, or the Empowering Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises for Success. Long name, all you need to know is it's the SME Center on our portal. And that SME Center will go ahead and basically consolidate guidance, self-help tools, and educational materials in multiple languages, and it's going to basically guide you through and give you a tutorial on how to navigate the system yourself. If you don't have the ability to do that, and you're still having problems, members of our team will work with you directly on being able to enforce across the platform. That brings us to the 4th and final piece, which is patents. We work with hundreds, if not thousands, of SMEs across the globe. And what they tell us is, and we've come to recognize, it's not really the trademarks and the copyrights that are the most important at this stage. Many of the famous brands are very concerned about their trademarks and copyrights, and some SMEs are. But it's really the patents, the inventions, that you're really concerned about. So Alibaba is among the first e-commerce platforms to integrate patent-based takedown requests. And this is not just in design patents, it's also on utility patents. And what we'll do is we'll work with external experts to evaluate the patent claims and seller counter notices, and it's at no cost to you at all. So why does this all matter? I'm going to conclude and turn this over to the City of London Police. Because we know that IPR enforcement is the foundation of a sustainable digital economy. It builds trust between buyers and sellers, between platforms and partners. It encourages innovation by assuring creators that their ideas are protected, and it drives growth because confidence in fair competition is going to fuel trade. At Alibaba, we see this kind of enforcement really not as a burden, but as an investment in that trust that we heard earlier today from the head of Alibaba.com. So to every entrepreneur that's out here today, your ideas are your greatest assets. We're going to be here to help you protect them. Before you can protect them on our platform and enforce or to have law enforcement take action, you must make sure that you're registered. To get registered, please speak with the UK IPO. They're going to help you. So as I'll end by saying that I encourage you after this to please come over to the IPR booth right on the other side of this wall. We'll walk you through the Market Safe program. We'll walk you through the IPP process, and we'll also help you get connected with others who can help you throughout the process of protecting your IP on our platform. I thank you very much. I have limited time. Let me turn it over to the City of London Police.
Thank you. Okay, can everyone hear me? I feel like I need to shout a little bit. Is that okay? Yeah, great. Okay, so thank you, Matthew. Thank you for the introduction. So it's great to be here today. Bit disappointing, as Matthew said, that the main speaker is on the other stage, but thank you for sticking with us. So I'm Emma Warby. I work in the Police Intellectual Property Crime Unit with the City of London Police. So the City of London Police are national lead force for fraud. So PIPCU is one of the funded units that sits under National Lead Force for Fraud. So, I did that without actually trying to. Is someone else doing my slides? Or that was right on cue as well. Well done. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about PIPCU. I'm more than happy if people want to shout and ask questions as we go. So you can see the slides behind me. So partnership work is a big part of what we do in PIPCU. So we basically protect the IP rights of everyone within the UK. So anybody can send a referral into PIPCU, and we will investigate or disrupt that work. I'm going to go over some of my figures. We're quite a small team, made up of predominantly police officers, but we do a huge amount of work, and we have a national remit, so we travel all across the UK carrying out our work. So partnership is a big part of that, and we always say we can't arrest our way out of this world, so we work. Our partners and our stakeholders are a big part of what we do in PIPCU, and a really important way of how we actually try to combat this work. So historically, the pursue side of our work and traditional police investigations has been very much the way that we have worked in PIPCU. That has changed more recently, and we do quite a lot of disruption work. So historically, what you would think of police officers going and knocking down doors and executing warrants and putting people in handcuffs, as Matthew made the joke at the start. And we still do a lot of that. We still do a huge amount of enforcement work, travelling around the country, arresting people who have committed this type of crime and taking them through the courts. But we do a lot more than that now as well. Recently and post-COVID, our criminal trials in courts in the UK are being set in 2029. So that traditional form of policing isn't the best way to always do things. So disruption is a really big part of what we do. So our website domain suspension is a big thing. So in PIPCU, we call that Operation Ashiko, and we have an Operation Creative as well, which basically, if we believe a website is selling illegal counterfeit goods, then we can take the website offline. So it's a disruption tactic. So the people operating behind those websites don't get arrested, and not that traditional action that we would take as police. But obviously we can take down hundreds of websites a day. So as a disruption tactic, it's stopping it happening, it's stopping further victims, and then we will monitor that those websites are obviously not up and running again. And then a big part of our work is awareness and education. So some of the bigger operations that we have will make national media. So that's great, because not only does it showcase the work of PIPCU, but it also has that awareness that we can educate the public and use that media outlet to tell people not to buy counterfeit goods and why not to buy them. And we try and do so much more of that education, because we can't, as I've said, we can't arrest our way out of it. We need to educate the public in why not to go and buy a counterfeit football shirt, and what damage that does, and what you're feeding into, and do you want to spend your hard-earned money on someone that's then money laundering and giving it to a criminal. So a big part of our work has moved into awareness and campaigns and education. We work with the IPO a lot in working alongside their campaign calendar and trying to raise that awareness. That is a big important part of what we do. So, as I said at the start, anybody, any small business, and up to the bigger brands can refer a case into PIPQ. So as long as you can demonstrate that an offence has happened and that there is a suspect and that you can show that you have your IP rights and someone has taken advantage and committed an offence, then we will look at that and see if we can either investigate it in the traditional manner that I've spoken about, or if we can disrupt that. So any small business at all can refer that case into PIPQ. And we look at them all equally. So we will look at the harm, the risk, the money lost, the money gained by the suspects. It doesn't matter if you're a big brand like Nike or a small business. We will look at those referrals in exactly the same manner. This is just an example of some of our statistics. So we're not a massive team. I think we have about, at the moment, around 9 detective constables. We have police staff investigators as well, 3 of them. So it's not a big team, but our results are good for the size of our team. As I said, we have a national remit, so a lot of our time is taken up travelling over the UK. And in the last financial year, as it says there, we've had 87 suspects arrested, 77 search warrants. So that's your traditional police going in the door, searching a house and arresting people. Then the convictions at court there. The SOC disruptions is a serious and organised crime. So that's a big part of how we operate now in trying to take down these organised crime groups. So a massive part of what we do now is our financial investigation work. So what we would say, follow the money. So trying to hit the criminals where it hurts. So take their money off them. And a massive part of where we moved into is that financial investigation. And we're very lucky in PIPQ that we have huge results with that. And that's a really important part of what we do. Then the website domains is what I've talked about. So referring them to Nominet and taking them offline. Cease and desist notices, again, are a different form, not the traditional pursue that we have done in PIPQ. You might have heard of them being called like a knock and talk. So it's for a lower level offence where maybe there's not been as much money lost or gained. And it's basically, we will go to the suspects and say, we know what you've been doing. We are informing you that you have committed a criminal offence and stop doing it. If you stop doing it, this will be recorded, but we won't take any further criminal action. So it's a really good tactic. 9 times out of 10, people are quite scared. If the police come and speak to them, they will listen and they will stop that activity if it's of the lower level. And again, we can do them quickly and we can do them often, so much better than trying to arrest people and put them through the courts. So our cease and desists are a really big part of that. I've spoken a bit about the education and awareness, and then the press releases and media interviews. Again, trying to get the word out there and educate the public. It's usually off the back if we've had a bigger operation, and often a little bit of luck in the media as to what gets picked up on and what they're interested to report on. And then we try and get that messaging behind it because it's so important to what we do. That's the end of my slides. I think we're going to go over to the... or you off?
So I just want to say that
no.
Are we on? Okay. I just want to say Alibaba has worked very closely with City of London Police, and we very much appreciate the close collaboration on the investigations that we've referred out. But I need to stress something. So if you're an inventor, you're a creator, you're an entrepreneur, you have a great product, you want to get it out to market. The biggest mistake that we see on the intellectual property side is you haven't protected yourself. You haven't protected yourself in key markets. And they can get expensive to do so, we understand that. But you have to be able to protect your patents, your trademarks, and I would say your copyrights, but to a lesser degree, some of that's already protected by certain laws, but certainly the patents. And some nations are first to file nations on certain intellectual property, which means that if you haven't filed and it's yours in that particular country, and someone, for example, files that trademark in a first-to-file nation, you will have a very difficult time trying to secure that for yourself, even though it was yours to begin with, because you weren't the first to file. This is an important point to know. A lot of times SMEs will come to us and say, we desperately need your help. We want to protect our intellectual property. It is so important to us. We had one case where actually on the packaging was the daughter of the person who invented the product here in Europe. And she's like, that's my daughter, it's being counterfeited. It's most definitely not theirs. I can show you, this is my daughter. And what happened was that the IP was not protected. Now, eventually we were able to help her with that case. There were some unique circumstances. But if you have not filed to have your intellectual property rights protected, the very first thing you need to do, Kelly, you got to stand up again, is you got to speak to the UK IPO about how to get registered. That is the most important step. After you do that, Alibaba is going to help you enforce your intellectual property on our platform. We're going to protect you, but we can't protect you until you've gone ahead and made your rights legal and protected them that way. And similarly, for the police, they can't work on the offline investigations with us unless you actually have those rights. So please, take some time, come visit us at the booth, come speak to us afterwards, come speak to Kelly at UK IPO, and please very much enjoy the conference.